So, today we're talking about how to hack Spanish from Italian, alternatively known as how I guess the form of a word from one language to the other while using Duolingo, without actually learning them. Doesn't always work, but there are a lot of things you can bear in mind to stop using the hints and use your brain instead. Knowing these differences, taking note of them, also helps to keep the languages separate in your head. At least, it does for me. This isn't every single thing. That would go on forever. And some only work for a few words. But knowing these things, which many I knew before starting, helped me get through the Italian to Spanish path in pretty quick time. I hope they help you too. They're in no particular order, so let's start with the endings zione in Italian. They're usually, I'm going to say usually because there are bound to be exceptions for all of these. These usually translate to thion in Spanish. You may have to use some other of these hacks to get the whole word, though. Eccezione to exception. Concentrazione to concentración. Posizione to posición. Next, double letters. Italian is very fond of double letters. Spanish not so much, but that doesn't mean there aren't any. So plump for single unless you know for certain it's a double. Programma to programma. Professoressa to professora. Controllare to controllar. But correre to correr. And occasionally it just changes to two different consonants. So you get colonna to columna and impatto to impacto. Here's another ending, the T accent in Italian, to dav at the end of a word. So unità to unidad or unidades. Yes, there's the complication that for Italian it can be singular or plural. So identità to identidad or identidades, and città to ciudad or ciudades. Now, this is one that definitely doesn't always work because sometimes Spanish is the same and sometimes it's reversed, but a lot of time you'll find that a T in these words can be replaced with a D in Spanish. So, soldato in Italian to soldado in Spanish, vestito to vestido, marito to marido, and vita to vida. This one I don't see so much, but the GN combination in Italian can go to the Spanish N tilde. Sogni to sueños, bagno to bagno, ragno to aragna. Sounds pretty much the same, but spelling quite different. O or UO in Italian, going to U or UE in Spanish. So proposta to propuesta, buoni to buenos, cucina to cocina, and porta to puerta. E at the beginning. You've probably heard that Spanish adds an E sound to the beginning of some English words. Thing is, that's the same with Italian too. So you get studiare to estudiar, and scenario to escenario. Add an N. Italian quite often omits an N from what we would expect in English, so you get costruire instead of construct. Well, Spanish doesn't. So you can add that N back in for construir, and istituto becomes instituto. C and E add an I. Here are two common words where this happens. Tempo becomes tiempo, and festa turns into fiesta, which of course is a word we use in English. This also happens in certain verb forms, with dormendo changing to durmiendo. Go closer to English. There are a lot of words in Spanish that are much closer to the English spelling. You just have to guess which ones. prospettiva to prospecto, canale to canal, invisibile to invisible, possibile to possibile. Although for that last one you could argue they're equally as similar, just different. The ending sia changing to thea, with or without the accent. Polizia to polizia, agencia to agencia, burocrazia to burocrazia. An accent where the word is stressed in Italian. So Italian skimps on the accents, but Spanish doesn't. If there's non-standard stress, there's an accent, and this is frequently where the stress is in Italian unmarked. So telefono to telefono, numero to numero, and credito to credito are examples. Verbs take off the E. Where the verb is basically the same, the infinitive in Italian will have an E at the end, but the Spanish version won't. So venire to venir, mostrare to mostrar, and partire to partir. Question words kind of do swapsies. Well, they're not always used as questions and don't always need the accents, but you know what I mean. Quando in Italian to quando in Spanish. Che in Italian to che in Spanish. Chi in Italian to quien in Spanish. Basically, go for something that seems like the opposite and you'll likely be okay. But this one is quite confusing to start with. And finally, a general lose the vowel at the end of the Italian. Now, obviously, Spanish does have plenty of words with vowels at the end, but there are plenty that don't. So you have things like treno to tren and religione to religion. But this is most noticeable with plurals. Unlike Italian, that usually just changes vowels. Spanish adds an S or an ES, a bit more like English.